Welcome back to my channel, Melanated Gods of Earth. Brothers and sisters, how y'all doing? Hope you're having a good one. On today's video, I'd like to continue sharing more of the situation pertaining to Africa's mineral resources, the development of Africa as it pertains to outsiders who only know to rely on Africa's resources to sustain their military or corporate industrial complex, and our attempts to emancipate ourselves being a direct threat to them. In this present day era, naturally, the US has a habit of forgetting where they get their mineral resources from in order to sustain themselves, yet they want to maintain the idea that they are an all-powerful force that we must all kneel to. When in reality, it is us, the African continent, who is the all-powerful force that they should kneel to. They should recognize this power, family, because the present-day African generation is no longer taking the constant abuse of our continent at the expense of our everyday people. We are setting the rules now. In recent days, there has been something known as a summit pertaining to AGOA. AGOA, which is the what now? African Growth and Opportunity Act, which is basically getting preferential treatment when it comes to trade deals with the US. The irony being, the US knows how to propagandize itself into tricking the world into thinking they're all that. And it's only when you believe their propaganda do you allow yourself to be taken advantage of or placed in a position where they can take advantage of you. They rely on us, not the other way around. Okay? We doing the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is a threat to the US. Doing the de-dollarization movement is a threat to the US dollar. When they forget how many of their corporations are on the African continent, they allow themselves to slip into a false sense of security. Because God forbid we African peoples wake up, as far as they are concerned, we will realize then that we are the ones who can flex them. Keep this in mind. Count the corporations that are on the African continent. And what would happen to the US economy should we decide enough is enough on that end? You don't just get to be an outsider corporation and get into the African continent because you think we're that desperate for opportunities and development and all that thing. So when we flex and are assertive with our mineral power, will they recognize that without our minerals there is no Silicon Valley? And here we are, them removing multiple African countries from the AGOA Act, and they're wielding it as a tool. And we have covered this on previous videos pertaining to how US council meetings have been having discussions on how they can use this AGOA Act to cause African countries to do as they want ultimately, especially when it comes to South Africa. But of course, without further ado,
Biden says he's determined that the four countries do not meet the eligibility requirements of the act, stating in his letter to the leadership of the House of Representatives and the United States Senate that the Central African Republican government had engaged in gross violations of internationally recognized human rights and was not making progress towards establishing the protection of internationally recognized worker rights, the rule of law, and political pluralism.
The irony, of course, being that the US is the largest purveyor of war crimes. They destabilize nations all willy-nilly. Right now, they're actively in support of war crimes in Gaza, perpetuated by Israel, their darling. So then they want to turn around and judge the rest of us when they are the ones who went into Afghanistan and Iraq for 20 years straight, looking for weapons of mass destruction that don't exist, committing atrocities in the air. They destabilized goddamn Libya.
He raised similar issues in relation to Niger and Gabon that recently experienced unconstitutional changes in government. Biden says Uganda engaged in gross violations of internationally recognized human rights after Washington previously raised concern about Uganda's draconian Anti-Homosexuality Act, signed into law in May, that calls for life imprisonment for anyone who engages in homosexual sex, while decreeing the death penalty for anyone convicted of aggravated homosexuality.
Keep in mind, the US has been promoting things in countries where they did not ask. Then they want to turn around and punish these countries who refuse to acknowledge reality according to the Americans. Everyone can see that the US as a country is imploding. But they want us to just happily accept what they're preaching without question. No one has an issue with peoples of alternative lifestyles. That's the number one. Let that be clear. No one has an issue with said peoples. But for them to be going out of their way to promote a certain way of life where it's known that a country is majority heterosexual, majority Christian, majority traditional, they believe that they are righteous, just and true. But then want to turn around and violate the natural rights of other peoples, and then they want to accuse us of being the ones who violate human rights. That's crazy.
Biden says that despite intensive engagement with the four countries, they had failed to address U.S. concerns about their non-compliance with the AGOA eligibility criteria. As a result, their participation in the program will cease on January 1st. AGOA, launched in 2000, grants exports from qualifying sub-Saharan countries duty-free access to the U.S. market. It's due to expire in September 2025, but discussions around a potential 10-year extension are already underway between the White House and the U.S. Congress. South Africa was the continent's largest beneficiary of AGOA in 2022, with exports from the country reaching $3.6 billion, or 68 billion rand last year. Sherman Ricebees, SABC News, New York.
Like I said, they have a habit of forgetting how much they rely on the African continent. And it's when we are assertive with our business practices and business opportunities for people, will they find out the hard way that without us allowing their corporations to operate. In fact, it's not like we even allow their corporations to operate. They take advantage of the fact that they destabilize the countries and replace leaders with puppet regimes that they can control and create unfair business opportunities for their industries. And they continue to exploit our mineral resources with absolute impunity. If you enjoy the vibe of the channel, family, make sure you smash the subscribe, the thumbs up, let the algorithm know what's good. Other like-minded souls know that we're out ya. I appreciate you. But let's get some more clarity on that note. There's a couple of clips I would like to share. Now, take a look at what has happened to Libya since they destabilized it and unalived the head of state there. Look at that, family. Just look at that. It's unfortunate that this video was not as popular as I would have liked it to be. But that's the world we live in. Drone footage showing mass graves in Libya. It has just known chaos since they unalived their head of state. We had a plan for the African continent and utilizing our mineral resources to establish our own gold-backed currencies that would have it wouldn't even been a competition. It would have been a straight up establishment of a new world order right there and then. But for more clarity on that note,
The GDP of
Hold up.
right? People in Congo right now are on less than $500. Congo, 100 million people. The GDP of Congo is 50 billion, right? People in Congo right now are on less than $500 annually each. So I've seen people there starving to death while 10.5 billion of cobalt is being taken out of the country every single year. There's 12 billion being taken out of just copper every single year. Then there's 2 billion of diamonds, gold, wolframite, tungsten. All of these things are being taken out and nothing's being put back. That's why there's 22 million people right now in Congo who are starving. There's 6 million people in Congo right now who are displaced. I'm there, I'm working there, and I'm seeing all this stuff happen. And I'm like, I know if my brothers and sisters in the Americas, I know if my brothers and sisters, black brothers and sisters in Europe were to come over here, they wouldn't be doing that shit. Like, I know that. I know that you wouldn't go over there and rob from people. I know you would go and build with people. And that's the kind of trade relationship that needs to be fostered between us. Because if we are not going to do for ourselves amongst ourselves, then we are going to die and we're going to be dancing while we're doing it. Right? I don't know if anybody's seen the shucking and jiving and all of this stuff that people be doing, but it's like, for whatever reason, we acting like it's all good at the same time as I've been through Atlanta and I've seen people starving on the street corner. I was Googling Congo, 100 million people. The GDP of Congo is 50 billion, right? People in...
It's just a constant source of exploitation for a family. If that's not clarity enough for you, I don't know what else is. Because they continue to commit war crimes, take advantage of destabilized nations so they can maintain their military-industrial complex. And they're just sad, really, family. It's just sad with family. And Congo continues to take the brunt of it because it's got key components required for modern day technology. And the question remains, royal family, is how far are we as African peoples willing to go to defend ourselves from outsiders who continue to exploit our mineral resources for their benefit? Because the atrocities continue to pile up. On top of that, family, this being a country that continues to do things like this.
America's secret weapon, its most powerful nuclear bomb. The Pentagon is building it. It would cost about $10 billion, and it would be 24 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima during the Second World War. The US is ready with a plan. It is awaiting congressional approval and courting its fair share of controversies. But why does America need such a weapon? And how will its adversaries respond? Does this mark a new phase in the nuclear arms race?
I mean, they are proud of the fact that they are developing the most powerful nuclear weapon on Earth. Right? How can you be proud of such a sick thing? Have we not seen evidence enough that more nuclear war will not solve anything but destroy everything for everyone? No. You want to measure their success and their military might by the amount of military power they have. The ability to destroy and devastate. And I just found a clip that I want to share some more pertaining to the situation in Libya and how proud they are of that crime.
Hey, guess who came to Washington yesterday?
An invasion of Ukraine that, instead of driving a stake between us and our allies, brought us closer together in order to support the right of the Ukrainian people to defend their liberty and freedom and democracy. People might have doubted that because we had burned so many bridges with our allies and our friends. So reinstating a foreign policy that plays to the best of American values, that puts our interests and security front and center, but does it in a way that actually brings people to us, not pushes them away, would have been thought to be extremely difficult. And indeed, it was. In looking across the globe, defending democracy in Ukraine, expanding NATO, just as an aside, too bad, Vladimir. People are not forced to join NATO. People choose and want to join NATO.
Okay. Of course, what else would Hillary Clinton do except basically defend all of her time as Secretary of State? But there was some just hideous things that were done during her tenure there. There probably wasn't a bigger one than the Libya fiasco, where she was very proud of leading the military strike on Libya, where we joined several other nations that Obama eventually approved. But she was very proud. She made the famous statement that we came, we saw, and Gaddafi was killed.
I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed. Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
And you're like, that was a big accomplishment. There were no American national security values at stake whatsoever in that Libya fiasco. And we're still paying for it today. I bet she's not going to mention in there that the action that we took, which deposed the hated Gaddafi, that certainly we hated, to this day, there are still competing governments in Libya. They're basically fighting a version of a civil war. It's disaster.
And that's the story of their existence. Disaster after disaster after disaster after disaster. We must recognize the nature of our enemies, family, understand the nature of their behaviors, so we may properly predict what to expect as the world continues to slide into more chaos, as it spins out of control. And as I keep saying, and I will keep saying it, family, we must isolate our resources from these devils, because they will continue to wage war with weapons, with materials made from our continent that they will forge into weapons and then use against us. That is insane to me, family. And so we must be willing to defend ourselves with every means necessary. Under UN Charter 242, we have the right to defend ourselves against outsiders and potential oppressors. One more final clip that I would love to share. Important. You don't know this already.
We are stupid enough to continue to listen to their lies. Wake up, Africa. Wake up, black people around the world. Africa is your problem. Own it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. For Africa to change, for you to be able to benefit from what is yours. What's in Africa is the inheritance of every black person on earth. But if you're stupid enough to listen to the lies, and while they continue to exploit your Africa, while they continue to amass wealth for their children, grandchildren, and generations to come, then the joke on you. But until we educate you, until we make you aware of what is really going on, and that is where we elders come in, we must speak truth to power. That's why we need a Pan-African television that's going to boom the history, that's going to let people know that you are part of an experiment to make sure that you continue to be in bondage. Understand that you are actually in shackles of the mind. That this war we are in, the war of #African economic liberation. We were denied economic liberation at this fake independence. Our people must understand the dynamics. That the systems that are in place, the World Bank, IMF, the Bretton Woods institutions, we must fight and push for them to be dismantled, because they never included Africa as part of it. Their success is based on the failure of African nations and other developing nations. So why do we need? Why do we participate? Why do African ministers of finance even go to Washington? So I'm saying, understand the systems, the financial systems, the trade systems, the UN. Those systems are not for us. They must be dismantled. Let's not participate in them.
And that's the message we must all take away from this royal family. These systems were not meant for us, were not created by us, and they will be to our detriment. To our detriment, royal family. And that's that for today's video, royal family. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you appreciate the video, head on over to my page, smash the thumbs up, let the algorithm know it's good, let other like-minded souls know that we're out there with the share, and check out previous videos where we have covered similar topics, because that's what we're all about, black consciousness, as we rebuild the Kemetic empire, the Kemetic legacy, and be unapologetically black about it. Africa for Afros. Let outsiders cry all they want, because we will not pillage and plunder our own resources for their benefit. We will not allow them to pillage and plunder our resources for their own empires. To go green at Africa's expense, at the expense of the peoples of Congo, under no circumstances, family. We must be willing to wage defensive warfare against potential threats. And if you have TikTok, make sure you head over there, check out my page there too. Let me know what you think. Smash the follow if you appreciate what you see. I appreciate you for joining, appreciate you for watching. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.